Okay.
Isa sa mga kinakatakot ng mga tao na bakit sila nag-aatubili on duals is yung tax daw. Kasi so many rumors swirling around.
Yep.
Saying that matataksan ka lang diyan. Kawawa ka naman kasi yung tax kinikita mo nito, kung magiging Pilipino ka, they will collect income tax from you at a rate of 35%, ganon, which is substantial din, no? But that is not true.
Every year, thousands of people migrate to other countries in search for a better life.
Each one with a story to tell of courage and determination.
Adjusting to a new country is not that easy.
Here at Migrant Tribe, we honor you.
So join us as we share our stories from our journey down under.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Migrant Tribe, stories from our journey down under, episode 50. In today's episode, we'll be talking about dual citizenship. Okay, so we'll try to correct some of the misinformation that's out there, and also what are the most common reasons people apply for dual citizenship. Okay, and also we'll try to let you know some of the celebrities who probably you don't realize who are actually dual citizens. Okay, so before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe and click that notification bell. And so here we go. Okay, so joining me in today's episode are the other members of the tribe. There's Joey. Hi, Joey. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. Yes, very fortunate to have our new guest today.
Yep.
All good.
Okay. And then there's John. Hi, John. How you doing?
I'm fine, and thank you that I am able to make it today.
Good to see you guys again. So for today's topic, we'll be talking about dual citizenship. So what we did is we invited one of the officers of the Philippine Consulate General here in Melbourne. So a big migrant tribe. Welcome to Deputy Consul General Anthony Mandap.
Yes, magandang gabi.
Yes.
Good evening, Migrant Tribe. Joseph, Joey, and John.
John. Okay, thank you.
Puro J, ano?
Yep. We're very jolly. The Jasmine is not yet here, but yeah, we're very jolly. That's it. Okay.
Good fellow.
Okay. So to start off, okay, so to share something, I'd like to share with you a trivia about Australia and Philippines. Okay. So here in Australia, the women's soccer team is called the Matildas. While in the Philippines, the Philippine women's soccer team are called the Malditas. Notice? Matildas? Malditas?
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, what's a coincidence? What do you think? Okay, so let's do away with that now. So Sir Anthony, so based on your experience, what is the most common reasons why people reapply for their citizenship?
First of all, I'd like to greet the additional J coming into the program. No?
Yes.
I think kilala ko yan.
Yes.
Hello, sorry. Hi, sir.
Hi, kumusta? Well, there's a variety of reasons, no? But the primary one which I noticed, especially during this pandemic, is the privilege to travel to the Philippines, especially at this time, no, when most of the countries have closed their borders to international travel. Siyempre, ang pinakamatitirang grupo ng tao na may karapatang bumiyahe sa Pilipinas ay yung mamamayan ng Pilipinas, citizens of the Philippines. So, because we limited travel to Filipino citizens, that left a lot of former Filipino citizens without any choice but to apply for dual citizenship. So there was, you might say, there was a rush of applications during this period.
Okay.
because of
Mm.
travel. Of course, only recently na-restore na yung visa-free privilege
Mhm.
ng mga former Filipinos, no, under the Balikbayan program
Mhm.
to travel again to the Philippines. But only recently, over the past 2 years or so,
Mhm.
the travel was limited by and large to citizens of the Philippines alone. So that is the major reason in recent months. However, marami rin mga nag-apply because of their desire to regain the right to own property in the Philippines, particularly land, no? Because that is where you really can draw the line. What Filipinos and what foreign nationals can legally buy in the Philippines. Yung land talaga ang pinakamalaking pagkakaiba. Because although former Filipinos, like probably some of you here are,
Prior to
who are
moving
not
here.
yet dual citizens, former Filipinos have retained the right to own land, but only to a specific extent. And that is, if you are a former Filipino citizen and not having reacquired Philippine citizenship under the dual citizenship law, you can own only up to 5,000 square meters of urban land and up to 3 hectares of rural land. Beyond that, you will have to be a citizen of the Philippines. And this is precisely one of the mechanisms. So the only mechanism actually that is available to former Filipino citizens to acquire land in the Philippines beyond those legal limits provided by the Foreign Investment Act of 1991 as amended.
Okay.
So yan, yun ang primary reasons, no? Travel, land ownership. There are many others, but I leave it to you to go into them one by one based on your questions.
Right. To add a bit more dimension to our conversation, I think two of the members of the tribe, is that correct? John, Jasmine are actual dual citizens. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you share what? Could you share?
Yes, they can tell you. They can tell you what the
reason.
benefits have been. Yeah.
Okay.
Jasmine first, please.
I guess for me, because I do business in the Philippines, I run a corporation there, so it's for my best interest to be dual citizen, to be honest. And it has, for me, as Sir Anton said, during travels, it has its benefits of actually last year I'm able to, if I wanted to, because there are exemptions that you can get. And as I said, in business, if you are a dual citizen, then you can get your local bank accounts. You don't get taxed as a foreigner before, because you get taxed as a foreigner if you have a bank account. You can still, I think you can open a bank account, but my taxes na bigger, even
different rate probably.
Even investment income or dividends, it's taxed higher. Now it's lesser. It's like that. And I think the ease of doing business is also a benefit, I guess, in my perspective. So if I come across fellow Australian Filipinos who are thinking about it, and I always encourage them. Now, if you think na it will benefit you for whatever circumstance you're into, or business, or inheritances, it's really good. I speak highly about it, and my experience with our embassy or offices has been really smooth. So
Thank you. John, I think I can guess why John, because I think John's land's more than 5,000 Commuter.
You
The
must be
reason is,
joking.
I think that's the reason why he had to opt for dual citizen. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding, John. Could you please share with us
Maybe.
your reason for
Maybe you're true. It's true.
no, it's our secret.
I think-
Okay.
The tribe knows that I'm a hopeless romantic in the first place. I would like to be married in the Philippines. That is one of the considerations. So I decided to have the dual citizenship for that one reason among other reasons. And secondly is of course I always want to go home or to go back in the Philippines. But I read a little as well, and because when your hair starting to become gray, like Sir Anton, you the talk about retirement and a little bit of pension is also being discussed. And I think as of the moment, if you're a pensioner, you can stay. And if correct me if I'm wrong, if you're a Filipino. The dual citizen as well. You can stay 6 months in the Philippines, and then 6 months here if you're a pensioner. I heard this from some of the pensioners, so I do not know what is the legal basis about it.
Yes,
But
sir.
for me, that is good enough, and also maybe ownership of the land and have some business in the Philippines as well. And being immersed with the political life when I was there, still looking forward to go home.
Okay. So I guess going back to that question, like Sir Anthony, about retirement. John had a question. Or does it make it easier for dual citizens to eventually retire back to the Philippines?
Yes. Of course, as a Filipino citizen, you can do practically anything when you are in the Philippines. No, let me pick up on the 2 points that were raised. No, from the business side,
Right.
yung kay Jasmine, and then yung retirement or stay in the Philippines, yung kay John. Now, the general thrust of the Philippine laws, including the Constitution of the Philippines, is to open up the business environment to foreign investment in the Philippines. So that is why even before the dual citizenship law was passed in 2003, the Foreign Investment Act was already made into law as early as 1991, which broadly liberalized investment environment in the Philippines. No, talagang that has been the thrust. But then, despite foreign investment liberalization, you still have areas of investment that are pretty much restricted wholly or partly to citizens of the Philippines. And what are these? I'll give you the most extreme example: mass media ownership in the Philippines. No, mass media ownership in the Philippines has to be 100% Filipino owned. And that is why naging issue yung Rappler.
Yep.
If you will recall,
Yes,
there was an issue about the PDRs, no, sa Rappler. That's why they're being accused of illegally operating because apparently their ownership is suspicious, no, dahil hindi daw limited sa Filipino citizens. So that is the most extreme case. You have other investment areas like advertising, which has to be 70% Filipino owned. Public utilities, which has to be 60% Filipino owned. Exploration of natural resources, which has to be 60% Filipino owned, at least. And other examples like retail trade, yung pagtitinda, no? It used to be that retail trade was limited absolutely to 100% Filipino ownership. But because of the retail trade liberalization law, it has been gradually, it has been modified. The rule has been modified. I think up to beyond a certain capitalization, pwede nang pumasok ang foreign investment. But as far as small retail establishments are concerned, dapat Pilipino. So kung sari-sari store, halimbawa, meron kang nag-ooperate ka na sari-sari store sa Pilipinas, kailangan Pilipino ka. Kung former Filipino ka, hindi pwede. No? So clearly, we have chosen, the Constitution primarily has chosen to reserve to Filipino nationals certain industries. Like, for example, defense, no? Defense, investing in the defense sector, you have to be Filipino citizen, no? You have to be a Filipino company. So, under the Foreign Investment Act, meron tayong tinatawag na negative list A, which are limited by the Constitution and other laws to Filipino citizens, list B and list C, etc., etc. I think list C has been abolished. Now, you can include in the list yung practice of profession, which is still by and large limited to citizens of the Philippines. So if you are an engineer, architect,
Lawyer,
accountant, whatever in another country, no, you cannot practice in the Philippines unless you are a citizen of the Philippines. That is the general rule. So that is why I think there are only very small exceptions to this, like yung practice of law. There used to be an exception for American lawyers practicing in the Philippines, pero wala na rin yun. Yung doctors, medical professionals, you know, we probably have a glut, an oversupply of medical professionals, and tayo yung nag-export. Right? So it would be absurd to even think that we would be importing doctors and such, no? But of course, there are occasions where the position is probably highly specialized, where we have no local experts. Then we can enter into specific agreements with specific countries. I think we have an agreement with the United States on the practice of profession, but only on a very limited scale. So how do you solve this problem? If you are limited or restricted by these rules, you apply for citizenship. It's a very dual citizenship. It's a very simple solution. Apply for dual citizenship under RA 9225. You pay a little fee. How much? $90 here in Australia.
Yep.
For $90, you win back all of those privileges. My goodness, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer, no? So now, balikan natin yung sinabi ni Jan, yung retiring or spending half of the year in the Philippines. Actually, as a dual citizen, you can choose to remain in the Philippines forever. You have every right to do so because you are a citizen of the Philippines, right? So that is actually the third reason why we're receiving so many applications. So many applications, no, aside from what I mentioned, yung travel and stay in the Philippines,
and property ownership.
Property ownership, or actually fourth yung business, no. Pero another dominant reason is yung to be able to retire in the Philippines. That is why if you look at the proportion of applicants, if you look at the age bracket, pinakamarami yung mga kagaya ko na medyo, namumuti na ang buhok. Yung nag-iisip na ng retirement sa Pilipinas. At some point in your life, you long to go back to the Philippines. You long to live in the comfort of your, family and friends back home, in the place of your birth. Yung bang gusto mo na lang, siguro, nagkakamot ka ng tiyan sa duyan, sa ilalim ng puno ng mangga.
Okay, yes.
Yung kuya, ganon. Marami ang ganon. And to be able to do that legally, no? Ito ang isang pinakamagandang paraan. Mag-dual citizen ka muna para hindi ka na mag-aalala. Kasi as a former Filipino citizen, you are legally constrained to remain there only up to 1 year. 1 year ka lang. Oo. So, sino ba sa inyo yung hindi pa dual?
Yes.
Joey, no? Joey.
I think you can request for an extension. Is that correct? Or after 3
Yes.
years?
Sometimes they are able to. They need to. You have to deal with the Bureau of Immigration, no?
Yes.
Right. And sometimes, kapag nakaligtaan, ay naku, overstaying na pala ako. Magbabayad ako sa immigration. Sometimes it can run up to the several thousands of pesos, no? So why do you have to worry about that when you have an option to legally remain there by becoming a Filipino citizen again? So yeah, how many reasons have we counted? Travel, land ownership, investment.
Yes.
Now,
Politics.
the right to remain indefinitely in the Philippines. Now, lately, dahil naririnig na naman natin yung ingay ng politika sa Pilipinas, nagkaka-interest na naman tayong makilahok. So, marami ang nag-dual citizen para makapagparehistro at para makaboto.
Okay.
Yes, so that is one of the, pag hindi panahon ng election, hindi natin iniisip ito. Pero pag ganito, kinakatid tayo na na makisali. Saka na naman natin maaalala ng dual citizenship. That is why there was also a surge of applications in the recent months because of our, desire to be registered and participate in the democratic exercise, choosing our next
Anthony,
leaders in the Philippines.
Tanong lang po, kung kunyari, kumbaga sa percentage ng mga nag-apply, no? So sabihin natin yung what you gauge, dito currently sa mga na-associate po na Pilipino rito, what do you think yung percentage ng patriotism ng mga Pinoy na nandirito?
Well, hindi natin matatawaran yung lahat naman tayo are patriotic in some way, no? But only a handful of us have actually you might say stuck our neck out, no? To profess their Philippine citizenship. Minority pa rin ang nag-a-apply. Right? So, kung minsan nagtataka ko, they like to talk about the Philippines. They profess their love for the Philippines, their passion about the Philippines, about our culture, about our food, etc. When the surest way to show that devotion is to become a citizen again. Meron ng paraan bakit bakit hindi mo ipakita ang pagmamahal ko sa Pilipinas by going the extra mile and applying for
dual
dual
citizenship.
citizenship.
Statistics ng or kahit percentage meron kayo ng
wala tayong nakikitang breakdown. My observation is only empirical. It's mainly anecdotal actually. Yung aking pananaw diyan. Kasi nakikita ko naman yung itsura ng mga nag-a-apply, Nakikita ko yung records nila. At karamihan talaga yung mga siguro nasa age bracket ko.
Kasi
But
right now,
young ones like Jasmine, who have the foresight
Young ones.
and the practical thinking, right? Makikinabang ba ako rito o hindi? Matagal pa nagdesisyon na kasi wala naman silang nakikitang disadvantages.
Sali po talaga ako sa binibining Pilipinas dapat Hindi lang.
Isa pa yan.
Oo nga, no?
Yeah, true.
Ayun, kaya siya
Isa pa yan.
Philippine citizenship niya para sumali.
You know what?
That's
Now, while we're at it, yes, that is also one of the reasons. Every time I talk about dual citizenship, isa sa binabanggit kong ehemplo, who are the finest examples of dual citizens who made it big in their areas from Australia.
Catriona Gray.
You talk about Catriona Gray. You talk about Ann Curtis.
Yes.
You talk about those basketball players.
Who made a good career back home.
Yung mga artista sila James Reid.
Yes.
And all that. See, some people might think of it as trivial, but that is a very clear example of why you need not think twice about it anymore. Kasi sila, they're doing really great sa Pilipinas. Sabihin na natin, they're making a lot of money doing what they do in the Philippines, but they cannot legally do that. They cannot be employed in the Philippines for prolonged periods of time kung hindi sila citizen ng Pilipinas. So employment participation in sports activities, sports tournaments, even the right to represent the Philippines. No? What chances do you have of being able to represent Australia in your favorite sport? Right? Whereas if you become a dual citizen, you are more competitive. Therefore, you probably have a greater chance of making it to the Olympics.
Correct.
Like many of our athletes have done. No? Marami tayo mga world-class athletes who could not have made it to the Olympics. But of course, sila Heidelin Diaz, si AJ Obienas, they've always been Filipino. They've never been foreigners. But there were some, sila Edward Lasquete, sila marami na tayong sabihin mo ng in-import na field foreigners. Sila Alex Pagulayan yung sa billiards.
Yep.
Right.
In Canada. Canada.
Correct. And all those field foreigners playing in the PBA. No, many of them legally are able to do so legally because of dual citizenship. Yung mga
Saka
artista.
yung rising stars sa tennis, yung
yeah,
yung
sila
yung bata.
Yeah. But what's her name? Yung Phil Canadian, ano? Yung Phil Canadian. But in her case, I don't see how she can legally do it kasi nung pinanganak siya, Canadian citizen na yung mom niya.
Sino po? Si Joy?
Yeah,
Joy?
what's her name? Yung Phil Canadian? Yung nakalaban ni Emma Raducanu.
Yep. Okay.
So that I'm able to remember the opponent.
Google that.
But you have others, no? Sila Lisette Cabrera dito sa Australia, di ba? I wrote about this in one of my columns in Philippine Times, Philippines-Australia Sports Connections. And I mentioned that one of the primary drivers of this cross-border incursion, sabihin mo na, into Philippine sports is dual citizenship. So, ganun din yung showbiz, sila Ann Curtis, sila James Reid and all that. They are able to do so legally, practice that profession in the Philippines, or be employed in the Philippines for prolonged periods of time is because of their citizenship.
Sir Ton, siguro sundan natin yung tanong na kunyari, nag-dual citizenship ka, no? Dito. Kunyari, sabihin natin, ang condition mo is you're working Filipino. Mas marami naman yun, di ba? Working Filipino in here, naging citizen, nag-dual citizen ka. So, may obligasyon ka ba yearly sa Pilipinas? Samantalang dito ka nagtatrabaho?
Wala.
Okay.
Isa sa mga kinakatakot ng mga tao na bakit sila nag-aatubili is yung tax down. Kasi so many rumors swirling around.
Yep.
Saying that matataksan ka lang dyan. Kawawa ka naman kasi yung tax kinikita mo dito, kung magiging Pilipino ka, they will collect income tax from you at that rate of 35%, gano'n, which is substantial din, ano? But that is not true.
Okay.
Why? Because, number one, we have a bilateral agreement with Australia, the Philippines and Australia, against the imposition of double taxation on the same income. Okay, so no way will you be assessed twice on the same income. When the Philippine government tries to do so, and maybe Jasmine can tell you that, you can ask her if she has been assessed income tax on her businesses here sa Talyer, halimbawa, you can ask her kung meron ng ganong pagkakataon because it is not allowed by that treaty. Now, second, there was an amendment in the National Internal Revenue Code of the Philippines in 1997, the so-called Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, CTRP. What did it do? It exempted overseas Filipinos from the payment of income tax in the Philippines. Yan. Malinaw na malinaw. Although it was originally intended for OFWs, alam niyo naman ang lakas ng labi ng OFW sa Pilipinas, they can pretty much get everything. So, it was intended for OFWs, pero covered yung other Filipino nationals who are based abroad, and that includes you, dual citizens, no? So, dalawang level of protection. So, you need not worry about tax. Of course, if you earn income in the Philippines, siyempre magbayad ka ng buwis, di ba? Kung kasi yung Internal Revenue Code natin says all income from within covered yun ng Philippine income tax. But all income from without, yung overseas Filipino is already exempted from paying. So that is not true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but isang bagay na medyo naging source din ng anxiety is yung PhilHealth.
Correct.
Yeah.
Diba nagkaroon ng usap-usapan a few months ago na yung PhilHealth dahil nalulugi na, gusto nilang step up yung collections nila. And true enough, there was something in the implementing regulations that included mandatory collection of membership dues, no? From actually, kahit hindi ka member ng PhilHealth, kung kung citizen ka ng Pilipinas, dual citizen ka, sabi nila, they will enforce contributions against you. Nandun sa, which is wrong. It was erroneously made. That is why when it reached the attention of the President, sinuspend yung contribution, yung pangungulekta sa mga overseas Filipinos, including, of course, dual citizens.
Yep.
It was an oversight that they committed in the implementing regulations of the PhilHealth. Now, it was suspended with President Duterte, and I think, in my opinion, as a lawyer as well, the suspension will remain unless the new president reverses it, right? But is it practical? Is it enforceable? I don't think so. Because first of all, they need to make a declaration of your foreign income, or the source of your foreign income, and that is not feasible at all. Dahil wala naman nobody is being compelled to disclose that. So Jasmine's income from Talyer here and all her other businesses here. Did you ever have to report that income to the Philippine government, Jasmine? Wala naman. So how can they enforce that? How can they enforce that PhilHealth regulation? So, in my opinion, that is nothing to worry about.
So the other way, sorry. So the other way around. For example, yung income mo kanya na sa Pilipinas na sabihin natin, whatever it is, whatever figure. Let's say 100,000 pesos to 1 million and so on. So when you bring that money to this country, obviously may tax yun. Bring in here. Is that right?
I don't think that's subject to tax. Of course, if it is legally remitted through, let's say through intra-corporate arrangements. If it is already reported in the Philippines as an income, tax na yun eh. So yung net income from it, I don't think it will still be subject to. I'm not a tax lawyer, no, but I don't think. And besides, you can only you cannot physically bring that money, traveling between two countries. There's a restriction to what you can carry, in your suitcase or in your carry-on luggage. More than beyond $10,000, you cannot anymore bring.
You
So
have to actually.
so when you do so, through channels like bank institutions, subject yan sa AMLC, yung money laundering regulations, no? So we can look into that more deeply, but I'm not aware that that has been a problem before.
So
going back to questions of a question about dual citizenship, what is the Philippine consulate has been doing in order to encourage more Australians who were Filipinos before to apply and avail such.
Thank you, John. I don't know how many times I've done this, but sessions like this, for example, I've made it my mission to actively go out and preach dual citizenship to the community. I've written several articles on it. And that's why I appreciate it every time I'm given this opportunity. I've spoken to Nelvin Mata, I've spoken to Arlan Pajardo, si kabarangay natin, si Fred. Oo.
Yep.
Marami na tayong nakausap. I've written some articles for Philippine News, Philippine Times, for sino pa yung publication natin? SBS, I think. I've spoken to them at least. SBS and many others. Yung mga may blog, tsaka yung may mga vlog.
Yep.
So I made it my mission to do that. And so far, there's been positive response naman. But I continue to do so. If you look at our website, nandyan din yung may information about dual citizenship. Every opportunity.
But maybe you can add more Filipinos here, maybe 2 tonight.
I'm counting on you guys. I'm counting on you to become disciples of dual citizenship.
Yeah.
Let us help us proselytize about dual citizenship.
Yes, I am working on it right now. I am buying Tats Lotto, and if I win the first prize, 20 million, I will be there for the next 20 years.
Siguro, bago natin i-close up, Sir,
Yes,
tinawid sa tanong. Sir Anthony, teka, ang isa pang curious na tanong, no? So when we go back, kunyari, dual citizenship, so dalawang passport. So,
Yes.
what's really encouraging here? Do we use our Philippine passport going home or actually the blue passport?
Good question. And that is one of the more frequent questions na tinatanong nila. If you are dual citizen, syempre you're also entitled to issuance of a Philippine passport, no? So you can have 2, Australian and Philippine passports. Now, traveling to the Philippines, the advice from the Bureau of Immigration is for you to show both passports coming into the Philippines, Australian and Philippine passport. And the reason being that you have to be admitted on record as a citizen of the Philippines, so that if for any reason mag-overstay ka sa Pilipinas or mag-stay ka more than your legal privilege, which is 1 year, you stay beyond 1 year, paglabas mo sa Pilipinas, makikita nila sa record na ito Pilipino siyang pumasok. So you are not deemed an overstaying alien. So hindi ka papatawan ng fees for overstaying as an overstaying alien sa Pilipinas. So that's important. So again, the procedure is arriving in the Philippines, you show both Australian and Philippine passport. Coming out of the Philippines, again, you present your 2 passports at the immigration counter in the Philippines. Are you required to apply for Philippine passport as a dual citizen? No. Actually, maraming kagagaling ko lang sa Adelaide dahil wala kaming oras na tumanggap ng passport application nila. Yung mga nanumpa to become dual citizens, naipon na naipon eh. So we sworn in about 75 of them in Adelaide alone, over the last 5 days alone. Marami sa kanila yung nakapagpa-passport. So tanong nila nga ganun, ano ang gagamitin kong proof pagdating ko sa Pilipinas to prove my dual citizenship? Yung one of the documents that we issue, yung identification certificate, that can serve as your Philippine passport.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
pending issuance of a Philippine passport, show your Australian passport, show your identification certificate. It serves the same purpose.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Anthony. Definitely, there are a lot of information and that was given out today, and and hopefully some of the people out there who have some misguided information, hopefully some of them have been corrected. But the best way is to contact the Philippine Consulate for further clarifications on some of your issues. So
That's correct.
Okay, so thank you again, sir, and that's it. And thank you for being here on the Migrant Tribe.
Salamat din.
So much information in today's episode. I hope it was able to help, especially for those people who are still kind of undecided. And I suggest, if you need more information, go to their website of the Philippine Consulate, the one close to you. And I guess that's all. So much for that. Thank you and bye.